Welcome to HSR Motorsport.
Hello and welcome indeed to HSR Motorsport, and today you join us here for Le Mans Ultimate Season 2 Championship. Round 6 here at Francorchamps, and what a circuit to host the season finale of this championship. Yes, we are round 6 of 6. It is the final race tonight, and I cannot wait to see how this goes down. It has been an absolutely brilliant season so far, absolutely brilliant racing every single round so far. Last week in Interlagos, Sao Paulo, we of course had 5 hypercars all battling for not only the final couple podium positions, we had them battling for the race lead, and that was absolutely incredible to watch all the way through. About 40 minutes of action really, and the first 20 minutes was taken up by LMGT3s fighting for action as well, fighting for some podium positions. There was action up and down the grid, and I hope today will be similar. Conditions seem to be slightly less than optimal though, so I will say that, do keep that in mind, but that hasn't stopped some incredible racing before, as we saw at Le Mans a couple of weeks ago, back in round 2 of this championship. So, without further ado, let's hop in, shall we? Lovely stuff. So, of course, qualifying is underway. If you want a quick little summary of how qualifying works here, we've got 20 minutes of qualifying, 6 minutes of which has already passed on. And then we have 1 hour of racing to look forward to. Of course, not quite as long as the typical races that we see on WEC or on the Spa 24 hours, but that doesn't mean we're not going to see some absolutely brilliant racing. We've seen some incredible stuff this season, really. Monza, we had Schlichting chasing Dal Peterson for the race win all the way to the final corner. Then Bahrain round 2, we had it was Bahrain round 2 that we had the incredible battles. Bahrain, we had Schlichting take the race win with 4 corners to go on the circuit after making a brilliant strategy call and some fuel saving required from Valentin Cordier in the Cadillac. And then, of course, we had the ultra battle between Kenneth Dal Peterson and Sean Belder for the race win at Le Mans. It was back and forth constantly between those two, and yeah, at the end of the day, it was Schlichting who came out on top. Sorry, it was Schlichting and Belder who had that battle at Le Mans. Then, round 4, we headed to Circuit Algarve, where we had, again, some great battling for some good positions. Schlichting just dominant all the... Schlichting didn't turn up. It was actually Valentine who took the spotlight. He was on the top of the podium all the way through. And the one time when he did mess up in the pit stops, just came straight back through the grid and had no problem in retaking the race lead away from Sean Belder, who happily took a second podium there. And then, of course, last time round, 2 weeks ago, for round 5, we were at Sao Paulo Interlagos, or for the full name, Circuit Autodromo José Carlos Pace. I'm not sure whether that's the right accent for it or whether it's the proper way to pronounce it. I have no clue. But that is how I'm going to say it, even though I do speak, even though I'm doing Portuguese on Duolingo. So that's in my mind that works. But of course, you will have to correct me if I'm wrong. If you do know Portuguese by any chance, I did ask that last time around. Actually, no one corrected me, so I'm assuming I said it okay. Anyways, we then had some brilliant battling there in the hypercar class. Once again, 5 drivers all battling for the race lead. At the end of the day, it was Kenneth Del Peterson who put the pressure on at the right moment. And everyone else kind of buckled. Sean Belder had to give up the race lead after fuel saving. And it was going to be his first race win of the season, but he had to settle for a hat-trick of podiums. 3 second-place finishes for Sean Belder, He's actually P3 in the championship right now, only 1 point behind Kenneth Del Peterson, who of course won last week. Now, some other notable names as well to keep in mind, of course, is Valentin Cordier in the Cadillac. I'm not sure whether he's out tonight. Doesn't look like it. I don't think he's here to defend his P4 position, but neither is Craig Hewlett, actually currently P5 in the championship. Valentine is back though in P3, ready to take yet another podium finish or race win. Of course, we saw his utter dominance at Circuit Algarve 2 rounds ago. That's 4 weeks ago now, actually. Absolutely brilliant performance from him. So if we do see Valentine on top, we can note it's going to be very dominant, but he hasn't gone up against Schlichting. That was the one round that Schlichting wasn't around. Kenneth Del Peterson also did not start that race. It was kind of a free-for-all at that stage in time. Cairo Samuel is currently P6 in the championship. Schlichting leading, actually, I forgot to say as well. Philip Rico Schlichting leading the championship. Kenneth Del Peterson in P2. And as you can see, up at the top of the grid, they are fighting for pole position right now. Halfway through qualifying, Del Peterson P1, Schlichting P2. But in the championship standings, that order is reversed. 10 points between them, which of course means that if Peterson wins, that gives them 25 points, and then Schlichting needs to finish in P3 or higher to hold on to his championship lead and take the championship victory. Now, other drivers there as well. Janos Lavagnos, currently P7, not out tonight as well. Isaac Busby, he's not been around since round 1. Reese Valentine, as we talked about earlier, utter legend at Circuit Algarve, back in tonight. Is currently P3, 3.5 seconds off the 2 race leaders. So the battle for P3 might be on between himself and Belder. Mikey Story in P10 as well with 19 points. Not quite out tonight. Nilsson in the... what's it called again? I can't remember. It's this car. This is Nilsson who we're looking at right now. But I can't remember what it's called. It's not a Glickenhaus. The Assotta Frescini. There we go. They of course pulled out halfway through, or shall I say halfway through. They pulled out in the 2024 season, unfortunately unable to just keep the pace going. But he's putting it to good use tonight. Currently P5 on the grid, and I think we saw him in a what was it? In a Vanwall last round. You know I'm not confident with the cars because I just don't know what they are. I've just never seen the Vanwall out on track until last round. Vitus Bachenk in P11. He's not out tonight as well. Tony Rucroft is back out tonight though, P7. He's been showing up fairly consistently with 2 P5 finishes over the course of the season. Lowe Nielsen, of course, P13. Ramucho MG back out on circuit tonight in the 93 Peugeot with Anton Kasyanov not out tonight as well. Rhino Sullivan. No, I think we've pretty much covered everyone that's going to be here. Other drivers in the championship that haven't showed up to any races actually are Rene Larsen, Ben Vale, Leonardo Ines, Marvin Ludwig, Alex Pentek, Mardo Reres, Carlo Raul Ciobano. I'm assuming that's how you say it. Konstantinos Mavradas, Filip Eskovic, Mel Castro, Pedro Abreu, and then finally Rhino Sullivan. Kasinov last week showed up for the first time actually. P5 for him, Ramucha MG got a P4, Nilsson P3. Those were the guys that were battling for the race win. It was an absolutely huge battle. Do watch it back on YouTube. I still need to watch it back. It has been a couple chaotic weeks since then. But do watch it back. It was an absolutely brilliant battle between the hypercars for a race win. For Belder, it was going to be his first race win of the season. For the hypercars, it was going to be Schlichting's third race win of the season. But of course, we saw the absolutely massive accident between himself and a GT3, making contact with a dodgy rejoin on circuit, trying to cover off Kenneth Dahl Peterson and Sean Belder, which absolutely sent him flying into the barriers on the right-hand side of the track just after he came out of turn 4. Very, very heavy impact. Needless to say, he was out of this race. Not this race, he's still in. Schlichting currently P2, a 10th of Dahl Peterson's time, and Lo Nilsson sets a personal best lap time, but still unable to take pole position here. Over on the LMGT3 side of things, though, let's see what they've been up to. Nico Dudek currently in the pits, but our current championship leader, and he's a good 10... No, sorry, that's the wrong standings. It's about to call out the hypercar standings again. He is a good... Again, commentator maths, I do apologise. 24 points ahead of Weilong Lin, who is out on circuit tonight, and you can see the progression there. Dudek, then Lin, who we are following right now in the number 70 McLaren. Lin is P2, currently on 74 points. Nico Dudek, 98 points. Considering last week's performance, Weilong Lin took the race win with Nico Dudek in P6. If it's going to be a similar result, it's going to be close for the championship standings, but what Weilong Lin needs here is a retirement from Dudek and a race win. That's the only way that he can win this. 24 points difference, race win is worth 25 points, so not quite impossible, but it is nigh impossible. Mission impossible, I guess you could say. It's very, very tight for Weilong Lin here. It's gonna have to be an absolutely brilliant race for him and an utterly rubbish race for Nico Dudek. So hypercars, yeah, that championship battle much closer, but over on the LMGT3 side of things, yeah, it's a little more clear cut. Eric Nonnenmacher is currently P3 in the championship. Francesco Carli in P4. 74 points and 73 points are Weilong Lin and Nonnenmacher in P2 and P3. So they could still potentially have a battle for that P2 position. But of course, Nonnenmacher isn't out on circuit tonight, which means, unfortunately, no ability to either defend his position or improve on his position. Although, to be fair, to make that position, Francesco Carli will have to work really, really hard. And actually, he's not out on circuit tonight either. So, yeah, that's going to pretty much stay as is. I also failed to mention that over on the hypercar side of things, I do apologise, I'm jumping all over the place. Over on the hypercar side of things, Sean Belder and Kenneth Dahl Peterson are separated by a single point. And, of course, that's 10 and 11 points, respectively, behind Philip Rico Schlichting for the championship lead. So let's do the quick calculations here, which I suck at as a commentator when I do the commentating. Outside of it, A-level maths, got an A in that, really happy. But when I'm doing commentator maths, it all goes out the window. So let's have a quick think. It's 25 points for the race win. Why am I trying to think this out? I can literally just bring it up, open link in new tab. There we go. Cool, so 25 points for a race win, 18 points for P2, and 15 points for P3. So, of course, the difference between P1 and P3 is 10 points, which is the difference between Schlichting and Peterson. It's 11 points difference between Belder and Schlichting. Yeah, I got a bit stuck on those words. I don't know, sometimes my mouth just can't quite say it nicely. It's a bit interesting. My mouth sometimes struggles to, how do you say it? form the words, pronounce it. There's a really nice way that Vin puts it. Vin Yang, a Vietnamese guy who talks a lot about, or who helps people with talking, and who actually, properly helps me. What's it called? It's not alliteration. It starts with an A, but it's kind of the way that you talk, using your mouth properly. Anyways, I struggle with that, so yeah, that could be the difference there. Anyways, I do see your comments as well. Esel number 1 saying the streams are back. Yay, yes. I do apologise for my absence recently. It is, of course, the summer holidays, so I'm all over the place. But I am anchored down for the last 2 races of the ACC Championship, so it'll be nice to catch up with you guys there as well. And, of course, then on my Ultimate Championship, that's been going non-stop, so it is good to be back. Valentine R saying, seems like it's just a one-shot quali. Yeah, looking at the times between Dahl, Peterson, Schlichting, and then Valentine, 3.5 seconds between Valentine and Schlichting. Yeah, I think that's when the weather turned. Well done on the A. The A. Is that what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Anyways, we've also got Hypercar Driver over on Twitch saying, doubt there's any improvements coming, conditions gotten worse. Yes, I don't anticipate any improvement in the conditions. Doesn't mean we won't see incredible racing though. And the lap times do seem quite tight. 3.6, 4.7, 4.8 between Velda and Nilsson. There's a 10th difference there. Then over on the GT3 side of things, it's only 4/10 between Dudek and Lin, 4/10 between Lin and Miro. I know it stacks up, but it gets there. It might get there in the end. Anyway, fingers crossed for top 5 tonight. Really hate this place, says Hypercar Driver. I'm assuming you're one of the drivers out on circuit tonight. If you could let me know who you are, because I can't quite connect names on Twitch and names in race unless it's super clear. Valentine R saying Maslol. Yes, there we go. Yeah, makes sense. It's funny how all your memory and cognitive abilities just go out the window other than talking about racing in your commentator booth. It really is terrible. And it's not just me. I know I've plenty of other friends who are also in this position, plenty of other commentators who can attest to this. It is challenging, all right? It is difficult. But then again, I don't want to, make it sound like I'm boasting or anything. So don't take it too seriously. I'm not trying to take it too seriously. Hence why I keep getting distracted and not talking about the racing, actually, because we only have 50 seconds left in qualifying. Can you believe it? All 20 minutes gone already, and 1 hour of racing waiting ahead of us. Currently, Dahl Peterson on pole, they 2:17.8, obviously set during dry conditions, and then Schlichting a 10th off, 3.5 seconds between Valentine and Schlichting then for P2 on the hypercars. And over on the LMGT3s then, we've got Dudek, Lin and Miro, currently our top 3 there. We're currently watching Omar Hatem, who I believe has been around in HSR Motorsport an absolute age, but I haven't actually seen him on track until now, and I might have seen him actually a couple times before, but those times are few and far between. Actually, out of the names that I recognise here, I don't see too many that are that are old, really. Dahl Peterson, Schlichting and Valentine, they've been around for ages. Belden, Nilsson, MG, Rucroft, we've seen them all before. Dudek, Lin, of course, championship contenders. Miro, over on the ACC side of things, always on top as well, always a contender there. Van Lagen, also, as we were talking about, Hatem, really old name, sticking around for a while. Moulton, sounds familiar, not quite seen him much there. Francesco, he's been here for the LMU season. Of course, great to see him out on circuit every night. De Kock as well, both ACC and LMGT3 here on the Mar Ultimate. Great to see him competing in both. Leitao, I think, is the newest name I see. Leitao and Bavesh. I think those are really two of the newest names I've seen. Ozduru, of course, classic, being on the ACC side of things for a really long time. JMet9to5, yes now, Yanni. Nice to see you again, mate. And of course, over on YouTube, we've got Valentine saying, no idea what I'm doing with fuel, so I'm just going to have to wing it like in Algarve. Last time you winged it in Algarve, mate, you absolutely crushed it. So don't worry about it. If you wing it, you're probably going to win it. You just got to get past Dahl Peterson and Schlichting, though. That's going to be the big one. So that's really, when it comes to the math side of things, we're going to have to remember that. So Dahl Peterson and Schlichting, 10 points difference there. That's going to be P1 and P3 difference between them. I think that is qualifying pretty much over all of these guys in the pits. Sean Belder in pits, Low Nielsen also finished, Ramacho MG, Tony Rucroft, all of them done with their laps. Nico Dudek, Wei Long Lin and Tim Miro, top 3 for the GT3s, all done as well. Van Lagen, Omar Hatem, Stephen Moulton. Yeah, that's going to be done. That is qualifying over for our grid at the moment. And the race will begin in just a few moments, but before we do need to have a look at the starting order, which will be popping up in no time. We've got some chatter over on the YouTube side of things, though. That'll keep us busy until then. Good luck with the race, mate, says Esel, wishing Valentine the best of luck with his race. It sure looks like it's going to be a crazy one, lol. Yeah, Eau Rouge is going to be scary. Eau Rouge is going to be absolutely... It's going to be a brown pants moment pretty much every time you go through there, especially as a hypercar. You've got the aero, you've got the downforce that can sometimes just, sometimes it can do a couple funny things, as well as braking with no ABS on the rain. That's going to be fun. Valentine, I know will be hard in this weather. Good luck, man. Hopefully everyone finishes. Esel, you and I know no chance. The Hunger Games are going to hit like crazy with this rain. Absolutely. We've seen the Hunger Games for, I think, since round 3. It was pretty much once the rain hit in Le Mans, the first time that we saw rain in either of our championship seasons, and that was when all the chaos happened. But lo and behold, it does look sunny, so we might see something happen here, actually. Starting order then for our race here at Spa-Francorchamps. Kenneth Dahl-Peterson taking pole position with Philip Schlichting alongside the 2 championship contenders with Reece Valentine and Sean Belder. Some strong contenders behind them as well in row 2. Then row 3, we've got Low Nielsen and Ramocho MG. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, I do apologise. In P5 and P6 with Tony Rucroft rounding out your hypercar grid. Nico Dudek taking P1 for his class with Wei Long Lin P2 and Tim Miro P3. Again, some worthy contenders there to fight for position into turn 1. We've then got William van Lagen and Omar Hatem P4 and P5 for their class. Stephen Melton and Francesco Rancesco, again, unfamiliar name and a familiar name, both in McLarens, ready in P6 and P7. We've then got Harold de Kock and Mauro Aleto in P8 and P9 with Emre Ozduru and Boya Bavesh rounding out your top 18 and your entire grid and your LMGT3 grid, all 3 at once. Or I could just say grid. It's all sorts of different ways to say it, I guess. So yeah, quite a good grid, and as we see, circuit does look a lot drier. It could be some standing water. Just looking at the reflections on the ground, it might be that there's just a little bit of water left over. We'll see it from the spray. Yes, so there is standing water still there, but it could dry up. It could dry up, and we could see some absolutely incredible race strategy at play here. Anything could go down into turn 1. We have no clue what's going to happen here. He's saying, brother, weather switch, I need chaos. Come on. Yes, we will see. It is still wet. Don't worry. It's the first time I've had to say, don't worry, it is wet. It's the first time I've had to say that. Don't worry about the weather, because the weather will take care of itself. And of course, the circuit is well known for having rain on certain sections of the racetrack, and then being completely dry on some of the other sections. So we could see some really, really wild stuff. Anyway, our drivers now line up in their Noah's Ark formation. As you know, I like to call it double single file, or the 2 single file lines, the double lines. I don't know what you call them, but we'll just go with Noah's Ark formation because that's what everyone else says. And then, of course, it is go time. An hour of racing is about to go down with Kenneth Dahl-Peterson on the inside, Philip Schlichting towards the outside. Sean Belder with a brilliant start, making his way past Reece Valentine for P3, and now alongside Philip Schlichting as they head down into turn number 2. Eau Rouge is coming up side by side. Is it going to be side by side between the 2 Ferraris as they head up the hill? Sean Belder backs out. Will that allow Reece Valentine to draw alongside him, get past on the Camel Straight? He's got a little bit of a run, He's, of course, got the spray ahead of him as well. That's going to be difficult to look through and keep an eye on. Sean Belder, though, thinks he can get past the Ferrari ahead, or maybe just trying to cover off the Toyota behind. It could be any of those two options, as Reese Valentine then files back in behind P4. We then got Lo Nilsson off track as well, maybe not quite getting the car stopped in this wet weather, and Tony Rucroft in the background putting some pressure onto MG as they all make their way down to turn 7 safely. I can't believe it. We haven't had any hypercar crashes yet, but it is, of course, really, really early. You could see anything going down. Let's have a bit more info on this thing. So I just find it helpful with this thing on. 0.4 seconds between Kenneth Dahl Peterson and Philip Schichting then for the race lead. Of course, the track could start drying up from the get-go. We could see the track being completely dry in about 5 to 10 laps, and then we'll have to wait for all the pit stop carnage. Anything can happen, as we've seen previously. Meanwhile, over on the LMGT3 side of things, Nico Dudek held on to P1 with Omar Hatem making an absolutely brilliant run on the first lap, up to P2 for him in class. He started all the way down in P6, P7, and now he's up to P2. Wei Long Lin dropping to P3 and Tamiro P4. So I assume they had some sort of collision, some sort of contact, some sort of complication that then allowed Omar to climb up. Maybe it was a huge collision. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be that bad though. So I think we'll be fine. Yeah, so Omar Hatem, absolutely brilliant progress in the opening stages of the race, and we've now got this 5-car chain or train of slipstreaming and wet weather and spray heading down to Blanchimont now. P7, Emre Ozduru right in the middle of leading from Francesco Rancesco in the McLaren in the background. And just look at all the spray. We've got a 10th between Stephen Melton and Maro Leto as we head into the bus stop chicane. The McLaren feels the need to cover the inside line. Of course, it being wet weather, first time they come into the bus stop chicane, everyone's trying to find the grip. They're trying to figure out their braking points, trying to figure out where the grip is on the track. Can they trust those curbs yet? Probably not. But, you might as well give it a go. Probably not on the first lap, though. You want to keep it nice and clean. Oh, here we go, though. Leitao down the inside into turn 1. Looked like he had a move lined up there, but unfortunately nothing on the line there for him. No lines of day. Half a second between those two now as they head down into Eau Rouge. 3/10 between Omar Hatem and Nico Dudek. Could we see some pressure from the BMW on the Ferrari into turn number 4? Lecombe is coming up here, and the Ferrari has decided to take a really slow meander over to the racing line. Under braking, still keeps it nice and consistent, just sticks to his racing line. BMW, there's nothing much he can do there. Nilsson and Valentine are close for P4 though. 0.3 seconds between these two. The Assetto Freshini and the Toyota potentially having a battle here for P4 in the near future. But of course, we do need to keep an eye on this three-way battle for the championship, or the lead and the championship victory here at the top of the standings. Kenneth Dahl Peterson currently leading from Philip Schlichting. Sean Belder also waiting in the wings, but he is 2.5 seconds behind these two. And I'm not sure whether that gap is closing or opening. Could be any of those two at this stage. Could be really early. Race strategy could happen. Race strategy could be all here. I have no clue. We've got a swap for position here though between the two BMWs as they make their way through Pujon. Ozduru and the Cock swapping positions there for P6. Emre Ozduru coming out on top. Then got William van Lagen ahead to Miro P4. William van Lagen in P5. Wei Long Lin P3. And then, of course, half a second between Omar and Nico still for the race lead on the LMGT3 side of things. We'll keep some tabs on that battle, but we could see something happen here between Lecoq and Ozduru once more. He's not quite allowed Ozduru to get away from him that easily. He will, of course, have this long straight ahead of him, or shall I say kink ahead of him in the form of Blanchimont. But on the exit, he's just lost all traction, and he's now losing time. Litau and Rancesco, though, down in P9 for their class. A 10th separating these two as they head into Blanchimont, just behind Ozduru and the Cook. McLaren versus BMW, heading down into the bus stop chicane. The BMW wants that inside line. Francesco not quite giving him all the space that he can, but he does pull to the outside line, trying to open up his own line. Contact between them, a little touch there, but nothing major. Oh my goodness, and there's William van Lagen across the track, not quite facing the right direction there, mates. Can't quite park your car there. If William van Lagen dropping down the order now down to P16. That's going to be P9 for him in class. He was doing so well keeping it in P5, and now he's just lost all that progress. Meanwhile, up ahead, we can see Ozduru once again putting some pressure on the cock. These two swapped positions, it seems like, just when we looked away, and these two are now fighting for P5 on the grid. Of course, that got given up by William van Lagen as he spun at the bus stop chicane, the final corner. Through a rouge, though, it seems as though Howell the Cock has managed to pull out a slight lead. Meanwhile, up at the top, we have got a huge battle brewing here between Dahl Peterson and Schlichting. 3/10 between them, our championship contenders. At the moment, not quite optimal for Schlichting. He's currently P2. If he drops down to P3, that will put them on even footing for the championship win, and then it comes down to technicalities as to who wins. Is it the one with the most race wins? Is it the one with the most podiums? Depending on who wins here, I reckon it could be down to actually it will be down to both. They'll both have the same amount of podiums. They're both on 2 race wins each. It'll be down, whoever wins this race essentially will get probably the championship win here. They'll get the overall championship here, because they'll then have 3 wins versus 2 wins for the other driver. That, in my mind, that's how it works, but we might have to ask Craig. I have no clue how all that works. The technicalities don't usually matter much towards the end of the season, but I guess today it does matter. Rucroft and MG, there's nothing between them down on P6. Looks like Rucroft has made some progress on him. Hatem and Dudek, 2.2 seconds between them. Yeah, the gaps are opening up slightly, but of course, with the drying track, that could bring some other drivers' abilities into play. Of course, it's completely different driving on a wet circuit versus a dry circuit. The safer drivers might do well on the wet circuit because they know they're not going to be pushing the limit too much, so they make less mistakes as opposed to everyone else. Or it could be vice versa. They're too scared to test the limit, so they don't actually know where all the grip is. They can't quite find grip in the rain. They're struggling, yada, yada, yada. It's anyone's game, really. Once the track dries up, it's a completely different ball game. It could change a lot of things. Ozduru and the Cock, again, there's virtually no difference between them. They're still having a go at each other. Half a second between them, we could see some more stuff happen there. You saw the drama, indeed. I feel like the pot, it had boiling water in it for a second at the race starts when everyone was kind of bunched up, when we could see some absolutely massive incidents. And now it's been put on the stovetop to boil, and we are now just waiting to see what happens when it boils over, how much water spills out. Do we see car pass flying? Do we see some championship victory hopes dashed on the final race? Do we see a final race win for Belder? Could we see his first race win of the season? I don't think so. He's currently 4.4 seconds off the race leaders. Valentine also approaching about 5 seconds off of the top 3. Actually now up to 7.3. I assume he's had some sort of incident. Valentine dropping fairly rapidly. What's happened here? Valentine now down to P5, and yes, he's had a massive incident somewhere, and he's had another incident here, spun just before Blanchimont. Oh, he's lost his rear wing. Yeah, Valentine, I'm not sure a race win is quite on the cards here, unless something major happens, like 4 hypercar retirements and a miracle weather change. But yeah, no, that car is looking bruised and battered. I will be surprised if he continues. But if he does, absolute legend of a man. I always respect the people who are pretty much down last. They've had an absolutely terrible race, all sorts of damage and whatnot, but they just keep going. Hats off to those guys. And to those of you who leave a session just because you might not score any points, yeah, I mean, it's up to you really how you want to race, whether you find it fun doing that or not. I won't judge. Meanwhile, we can judge this battle between MG and Rucroft for P6 on circuit right now. The 93 is chasing the number 38 Porsche, actually for P5, sorry, not P6, as the MG looks towards the inside. Rucroft just sticks to the outside line, and here we go, down the inside is the 93. Can he get it stopped in time? Can he actually get alongside? That question was answered with the word no, and he's actually gone straight on into the gravel trap at turn 5 as well. Out of Melmedy, he's lost some time on the Porsche head. This could be another battle to keep in mind in the future. Meanwhile, Osduru and the Cock still having a go at it for P5. Harold the Cock in the lead at the moment. We did, of course, see Osduru get past him earlier. Some great battling here between the two BMWs as, of course, the Cock does get a terrible exit out of the final corner. Osduru just keeping it on the racing line, half a second between them, and Moulton has decided to retire from the race. P18, the number 70 McLaren, the second number 70 McLaren, shall I say, but oh my goodness, here we go, De Kock into the gravel. Osduru just says, thank you very much, I'll just take that position, and once again we have a position swap between these two. These guys are not going to give this up, are they? This could be the Schlichting-Belder battle that we saw back at Le Mans. It could be those similar proportions here between these two at Spa today in the wet weather. It's amazing how the wet can bring out the best and the worst in some drivers. It seems to be bringing out the best in these two drivers though. 0.2 seconds between them as they head into Le Combe. Almost side by side. If Koch is later on the brakes here, he could be warranted some racing space from Osduru, but some good distance judging, I guess you could say, some good spatial awareness from Osduru means that he does maintain that position. Still P5 for him. In the meantime, Miro is putting out a massive gap, 16 seconds ahead of this pair of 31 BMWs. I just realized both of them are driving the number 31 BMW, but at least they are two different colors, so I can actually distinguish between them. A little bit of blue, a little bit more solid colors on the lead BMW of Osduru, and a little more kind of wavy white and red on the Cox car. Meanwhile, this battle between Pedersen and Schlichting has not let up in the slightest. Still 2/10 between them. Belder, though, managing to close the gap to 2.6 seconds. Of course, as these guys battle, he can come in a little closer. He's saying, me wishing good luck turned out to be a bad omen. Yeah, it turned out to be kind of the commentator's curse, if you will. I wouldn't quite call it a commentator's curse because, of course, you're not a commentator. We could call it a spectator's curse. The YouTube comment curse. YouTube, but then you could just say YouTube commentator curse. Yes, yeah. No, I'd just stick to. I would just stick to spectator's curse. Yeah, it does seem like it. It does seem to be that way. We have had requests to curse people before, but that's just not how commentators' curses work. It's got to be impromptu. It's got to be in the moment. You know, it can't be requested. It can't be asked of. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. It was like me kind of jokingly calling down a commentator's curse on Valentine last time round in Portugal, right round the corner from Portimao, and of course, you know, it didn't work because I was deliberate. You know, it's got to be kind of semi-conscious. It's got to be unconscious. How do you say it? Banter. Banter. Yeah. Commentating is probably a better word for it. Just what I mean is, it's not deliberate. It's not deliberate. You don't go around thinking, I want to curse this guy now. I want to curse this guy. That's just not how it works. It's got to be you're just talking about it casually, and then it just happens. Now the Cook and Emre Osduru still having a go at each other. This is brilliant. The 231 BMW is still within half a second of each other. The gap between Schlichting and Pedersen on the hypercar in the meantime opening up slightly, hence why we can move down to this gap. Actually, Valentine and Van Lagen. Valentine, of course, has his car repaired, so he can make a bit of progress through the LMGT3 grid until he can meet up with his fellow brothers and sisters in the red barred cars. As you can see in the standings board on your left, the top 6 all have a little red bar next to that name. That's how you know they are hypercars. And then the orange bars, that is for the LMGT3s. As you can see, Valentine currently in P13, a red bar amongst a sea of orange bars, i.e. a hypercar amongst a field of LMGT3s, and we actually see him in the background there. The Toyota, after having lost his rear wing and had tons of aero damage, is now making his way back through this grid. Whether he can catch up to MG and Rucroft, who are actually having a battle for P5 now, which we can have a look at as well, that is going to be a question in itself. If we can make a podium, that would be an absolutely incredible achievement. And a race win, well, you know, he's just that would be an utter miracle, I reckon. Especially considering all the changing conditions. I was about to say, especially considering the changing conditions, but changing conditions make for some unpredictable racing. So actually could heighten his chances of getting there if he makes the right pit stop call. Because it doesn't quite seem like it's raining, but it's really difficult to see it from this angle. It's really difficult to see it on the TV cameras. It's much easier to see it on board, but for some reason the onboard cameras just don't work. Ever since the update, the live telemetry has just not been on top. It's just not been there. So all we can do then is just watch this gap between Rucroft and MG fluctuate slightly, going back and forth between them, half a second up to 7/10. Oh, and Rucroft's lost it! And Peugeot just about manages to stay out of the way. Oh, slight damage to the rear right end of Rucroft's car. That Jota Porsche might have suffered a little bit of aerodynamics damage. Will he need to come to the pits now? I don't know. The circuit is still very wet. If it dries up very soon, that could be terrible for his chances at a P5 finish here. MG very lucky to stay out the side of this Porsche 963. Slight hitch in the program for Rucroft. Not quite what he wanted, but at least he hasn't made major kind of losses to his bodywork. He's only 5 seconds off of MG. It's not too bad. It's not as bad as the 22 seconds between Nilsson and MG for P4. But yeah, pretty much the gaps now all opened up to about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds maybe. But yeah, that optimism from earlier about the track drying up, I'm not sure it will. It does still seem as though it will be a bit wet, a bit cloudy, a bit overcast. He's all saying they cannot be forced in reference to the commentators' curses that we were talking about earlier. It's exactly the perfect summary for it. Oh, look at the spray there from the hypercar ahead. That will be from the Peugeot. Just the amount of spray that's been kicked up into the air as these cars go by. He's saying, shh, let the motorsport magic cook. Absolutely. Motorsport magic always cooks. So yeah, quick little summary then of your race leaders at the moment. Dale Peterson in P1, Schlichting P2 with Belder in P3. An Alpine followed by 2 Ferraris. And then over on your LMGT3 grid, we've got Dudek, Hatem and Lin. Currently P1, P2, P3. Dudek looking good. Looking like he's on... what do you call it? He's... How do you say it? There's a saying for it. I can't think of it. But basically, it's looking good for him. If he just keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to take that championship victory, the championship win. Meanwhile, though, on the hypercar side of things are still up in the air with Kenneth Dale Peterson now only 2/10 ahead of Schlichting in the Ferrari behind. Again, seems to be a small kind of unforced mistake from Peterson, and then Schlichting just closes up. Half a second between these two. And again, Belder in the background. He's also not a force to forget as they make their way through some traffic now. And yes, we have already hit the LMGT3 traffic. You can see Lin ahead there. Schlichting looks to the inside. Peterson covers the middle of the circuit, trying to play it safe here with his defense. If he's too defensive, that will bring Belder into the equation very, very quickly. And of course, now with all the traffic, as I've said every single week, how you deal with traffic defines how good you are in a hypercar or a higher class car. LMP2s count as well, of course, because they are faster than LMGT3s. Look at that gap, though, between the 51 and the 83. 2.9 seconds, dropping from 3.5 seconds earlier. Schlichting a little out of shape as he came out of turn 8. And into Pujon we go. Yeah, 2.8 seconds. Belder, he's got a chance here if these guys get caught up on some traffic, if they get caught up in some hoose of battling. And down on the other guys, no, not really. I was looking for the gap between Osdura and de Kock, 1.8 seconds between them. So that gap has opened up slightly as well. This is the closest one, 0.3 seconds for the race win here. Oh, Hatem cutting to the outside line. Oh, there we go, Ferrari being caught. Bell in the background, he's closed that gap to 1.4 seconds as well. Look at that. Some good stuff. Good stuff. Beautiful from the 83 to keep the momentum going. If he could become a factor in this, that would make everything a whole new level of dramatic because, of course, as we were talking about earlier, we did the maths before the action kicked in. Schlichting, as long as he finishes in P3 or higher, he'll take the victory. P4 for him, well, I say P3, probably, if he finishes P3, he'll be on a tie with Pedersen if Pedersen wins the race. So basically, yeah, it needs to be P2 plus for Schlichting. If it's P3 for him, there is potential for him to lose this championship. Bell, of course, could take P2 as well in the process, but he's currently P3. Yeah, so Belder, he's 11 points behind. He needs to be P1, Schlichting P4 to take the championship victory. But of course, Dale Pedersen, he can't be between any of them, otherwise he takes the championship victory. And the gap between Belder and Schlichting is actually less than between Pedersen and Schlichting. It's now less than a second. So Belder, with all this traffic and stuff, as we saw earlier, Schlichting just not quite able to make progress through them as fast as he could have, and now under threat from the yellow Ferrari behind. At least a different colour this time. Last time these two went head to head, it was at Interlagos, and the time before that it was at Le Mans, and they were two number 51 cars. Schlichting loses it again on turn 8. Sean Belder closing that gap now, 6 tenths between them. Is it a move into Pujon? Not quite, but if Schlichting and Belder swap positions here, that could mean a championship victory for Pedersen. He will tie in terms of points. It's then down to the technicalities as to whether he wins because he's got more race wins than Schlichting. That is the question here. In terms of streaks, podium streaks and race win streaks, Belder is the one with the most consistent record here. 3 podium finishing positions in the last 3 races. If he can get a race win here today, that'll be the perfect cherry on top of the cheesecake, the ice cream, and your cupcake. I'm pretty sure glazed cherries go on top of all 3 of those. It'll be the cherry on top, I guess, is why they just say it like that. Otherwise, they have to keep specifying it's cake, ice cream, and cheesecakes. There's probably a lot more you could put a glazed cherry on, but that's beside the point. A race win here today for Belder would be absolutely amazing, but of course, yeah, you know, it's 36 minutes of racing. We're about halfway through. Anything could happen, but it's unlikely to, with Dale Pedersen and Schlichting at the helm of the grid, currently P1 and P2. But yeah, that threat of losing P2 to Belder, yeah, that could spice things up. Easel saying, beautiful stuff. Crazy how they are managing to keep it on track with this battle. I mean, yeah, we've seen some mistakes though, especially from Schlichting, turn 8. That seems to be his weak point. And of course we saw the chaos at Le Mans as well. Schlichting seemed to have the overall pace and then just makes an error, and that allowed Sean Belder to close the gap. Of course, being 2 Ferraris, similarities between them could bring out some awesome racing today, but it does seem as though as long as he doesn't make a mistake, Schlichting is quick. Same with Pedersen. Pedersen makes a mistake, Schlichting closes that gap. Schlichting makes a mistake, Belder closes that gap. It's at this point, it's just going to be a battle of who can make the least amount of mistakes. Consistency and pace, they are the key ingredients to a great racing drive. You can have a great pace, but if we can't do a couple hundred laps of those, then you could put that thing in a wall on lap 2 and you're not a great driver. If you're consistent but you don't have the pace, then you'll consistently be finishing P last or in similar positions, which of course doesn't quite instill you with confidence and motivation to keep going, and probably also doesn't help your sponsorship opportunities as well, hence why you need a balance of both. So yeah, but sometimes there's a particular emphasis on one of those two. Qualifying, of course, the emphasis is always on pace. It's that one lap miracle that we've seen happen a couple of times this season. But yeah, it's really the consistency for me. For me personally, I value consistency just ever so slightly more than pace, because, you know, again, you have to be able to do that fast lap over and over and over and over again, and hit those braking points with precision over and over and over again. And especially in these hypercars as well, that's super tricky to do. On the brakes, no ABS. Yeah, that's the really tricky bit. Now, looking at the gap between Al Peterson and Schlichting, it did go down there for a second, and it does seem as though it's just kind of normal racing for Peterson. Just those slight differences in racing line, maybe slightly later braking. Could be a load of variables. When it's raining, there are a lot more variables than when it is dry. So our kind of order then for the race leaders still unchanged. Joel Peterson still leading the race, Schlichting P2, Belder in P3, but he's closed that gap down to about 2 seconds. And then on the LMGT3 side of things, Dudek, Hatem and Lin still leading your LMGT3 pack. Osdur and de Kock seemed to get close for a second. They were about half a second between them a couple minutes ago. This battle between Peterson and Schlichting still raging here, half a second between them. Could this be Schlichting's opportunity, or will he lose the rear end on turn 8 again? Let's wait and find out, shall we? So through turn 8, looks to turn in a little bit earlier onto the curb. Managed to keep it in a straight line this time, 2 tenths between them. A move into Buhon in the wet in a hypercar seems a nigh impossible task for Schlichting, and he hasn't opted for that move yet. But come the end of the race, desperation might start creeping in. We might see some crazy moves. But of course for Schlichting, as long as he finishes in P2, he's fine. He's still got that championship win in the bag. But of course you want to go for the race win. You want to go all the way. You want to push him all the way. You want to keep going all the way and not give Peterson a chance to take that victory. But of course there is the factor of risk. It's weighing rewards versus risk. Risk and reward, always the two things that you weigh when you're having these battles. Is it worth making this risky move that could potentially take both of us out and give the championship victory and the race win to Belder? In these conditions especially, that emphasis or the balance between them is very, very sensitive. It's turned up to 11 here because in the rain, it's an extra variable. A lot of it, actually, it adds a lot of extra variables to what is usually quite a complex formula in the first place, complex situation in the first place. So having all of this, plus the championship stats, I guess, in mind, you know, all of this weighing in on Schlichting, is he just going to stay in P2? Is he happy to finish P2, or does he want that race win? I'm sure he does. But, you know, is he maybe trying to just play it safe, just try and stay ahead of Belder, trying to make as few mistakes as possible? We've seen plenty of mistakes tonight from Schlichting already. Half an hour to go, though. If he makes the same amount of mistakes, that could bring Belder into the equation. 1.6 seconds off. He has closed that gap significantly, and he's doing quite well to keep that pace going. But Schlichting here does have the fastest lap out of the three of them, so it does seem as though Schlichting is the faster driver, and he does seem to close down on Peterson's gap every single time we head into turns 4, 5 and 6, and then loses it a little bit further down the line into sectors 2 and 3. Terrible exit for Peterson though, half a second between these two. Again, Puhon not quite the optimal overtaking opportunity, and an absolutely massive send would be required from Schlichting if they were to try and make a move at that stage in time. 0.3 seconds between them though, heading into Le Fan. An exit out to the back straight and into Blanchimont and the bus stop could be the difference here. Schlichting has used a little bit more of the track, and there we go, a bit more momentum for the Ferrari behind. Here we go, 0.2 seconds and closing, heading into Blanchimont. It's not quite going to be the optimal place for overtaking, but we've seen Schlichting do some dodgy things in the past. We've seen him grit his teeth and go for some ridiculous moves before. We've also seen Peterson stay cool and calm under pressure, and he has done so. Heading into the bus stop there. Woo, my heart was racing. I could see something happen there, but at this stage in time, we're also good. Half a second between them heading into turn 1. 1.6 seconds between Belder and Schlichting as well. Also, don't forget about that gap. We could see the number 83 kick in here and potentially add another variable to this complex equation. Another equation being worked out is Hatem and Lin down in P2 and P3 for the LMGT3s. On your screen there will be P9 and P10, but that's because it's overall positions. It's not quite class positions, unfortunately. But yeah, Isal, I agree. The adrenaline. You know, if I could sit on this, well, I could sit on the seat, the edge of my seat, but it's not quite the most comfortable thing. But I am sitting very, very upright. 0.6 seconds is that tension of not quite knowing when a mistake will happen, when the traffic is going to play a role in this. We can see a BMW in the foreground, one of the number 46 BMWs. I think that's a TEM. Currently P2 was gone wide. No, that's Leitao, sorry, in the other 46. There are 346 BMWs actually. Hatem in P2, then got Van Lagen down in P9, and then Leitao P11. So all of those guys, all three of them, the number 46 BMWs, and of course the 31 BMWs of Osduro and de Kock, also twins out there tonight. And we did have a twin ship between the number 70 McLarens of Moulton and Lynn, but Moulton has unfortunately retired. It's been like the first 10 minutes or something. I suspect it was due to some sort of contact, and actually the gap between Hatem and Lin down to half a second now. So this battle in the LMGT3s for P2 could potentially kick in, and of course Lin's chances at a championship victory, you know, if he takes P2 here and Duda crashes, that could be his opportunity at taking the championship victory, but those odds are very unlikely. The odds of Schlichting getting past Peterson, though, heading into the bus stop chicane, very high, but it looking very dodgy. Lovely move from Peterson to get past the traffic there. Very, very, very risky move there. I'm not sure whether that was worth all the risk. He certainly thought so, to stay ahead of the Ferrari, not get caught up in this traffic. Belder will have to settle with these two LMGT3s ahead of him, and Schlichting being forced wide by the traffic now as well. But yikes, I was talking about guts and balls and ballast between the legs. Dole Peterson had all three of those in massive proportions heading through Blanchimont down the inside of the LMGT3, darting to the apex, and you can see the LMGT3 also scared out of his mind. I'm sure it was what we had between Schlichting and the stewards towards the end of this race, if they are around. It's already half the time, yes, I know, and we are seeing some very, very desperate driving, I would say, from Peterson to build the gap on the two Ferraris behind. 0.7 seconds between Schlichting and Belder for P2, the 51 and the 83 here. That's ideal for Dole Peterson. That's maybe why he made the move, is because he really, really wanted Belder and Schlichting to go on for a battle, so he can build up that gap, get a race win, his third race win of the season, and hopefully then clinch the championship if Belder can get past Schlichting. Because at the moment, that's his best chance. It's then up to him to not mess it up. And likewise for any of the other guys. Because if one of these drivers retire, like, that's it. If one of these guys retire and the other two finish, we will have a different race winner, a championship winner. It won't be Schlichting on the top. Here we go there, Belder right up on the rear end of the 51 as the BMW of Osduro holds them up. There we go, the 83 up the inside on turn 11. Lafan, he's alongside, sufficiently alongside to be oriented racing space, but just enough space left by Schlichting. Again, brilliant precision driving from the number 51. We've seen it every single time that he's gone up against Belder. We've seen it every race so far, except maybe for Sao Paulo, but you know, we won't mention that. That was one time. The rest of his driving is absolutely impeccable, and we saw it just here at Le Fun, just enough space given for the 83 to coexist in turn 11, and of course then the following corners, he just managed to keep his speed up much better than the yellow Ferrari behind, not really influencing the gap ahead. 1.3 seconds still between Peterson and Schlichting for the race lead. Dodgy exit from Schlichting though. Belder will have a run here. 0.4 seconds is going to be close enough to make a move into turn 1 and get late on the brakes. Not quite the opportunity for it. Just stay back a little bit. That's what he's done. Just hold back a little bit. Make sure you have the best run you can through Eau Rouge and get the best exit you can down the Kimmel Straight, and then he can make the move into Lacombe turn 4. That seems to be the strategy for the number 83 at the moment. As long as he can keep his momentum going through Eau Rouge and Redelion, get the best exit out of here. Half a second, not quite as clean as Schlichting ahead. Still kind of neck and neck in their delta times, actually slightly increasing between them by about a thousandth per couple seconds. Well, a couple thousandths per second. Under braking though, Belder closed that gap really, really quickly. Still half a second between them though. Yeah, I think once he's had that slipstream now, Belder can stay on the rear end of this Ferrari much, much easier. Once he was outside that slipstreaming window, you could say it was a whole lot harder. And you can see the window wipers aren't actually going for Belder, so I assume the track is actually drying up and there's less spray as well. So all of this could be adding up to some strategy plays here and some more variables being thrown into what is a very, very complicated mix. Lynn, in the meantime, also still putting pressure on Hatem for P2. Dudek, 17 seconds clear of Hatem, not quite worrying too much. But of course, if he decides to, if he has the unfortunate fate of crashing out this race, and Lynn is then in P2 at the time, Lynn, of course, inherits the race lead, and it could be a championship victory for him. So he's still fighting this all the way. He still wants that victory. He still wants P2 and the possibility of taking a race victory and a championship win here at Spa and in Season 2 of the Le Mans Ultimate HSR Motorsport Mixed Class Championship. And it's a similar story for Dol Peterson, Schlichting and Belder. At the moment though, Schlichting will take the championship in P2. It's really whether Schlichting or Belder kind of have a battle, where they end up come the end of the race, whether Peterson crashes. You know, at the moment someone crashes here, they'll throw a whole spanner in the mix and we'll have a whole new kind of calculation to do. It might simplify things, but I really hope it doesn't. Hatem and Miro, also half a second between them now for P3. Lynn managed to get past, that's why. While we were watching these guys, Weilong Lin managed to take P2 away from Omar Hatem. You can see the amount of spray massively reduced from before. We can now see our top 4 in shot, except for the race leader on the LMGT3 side of things. Hatem here, final podium position. Miro within a second. So Hatem, maybe on the drying track, not quite as confident. As we were talking about earlier, that difference in pace on a dry track, you know, the difference between drivers when it comes to dry track and wet track, you know, that could be all the difference here come the end of the race. And the track does seem to be drying up, so we could see some proper things being thrown around. Ozuru throwing it into a Rouge. Yikes, proper scary for the number 31 BMW behind the lead 31 BMW though. De Kock, 40 seconds off of Miro, not quite a podium, but as we were talking about earlier as well, you know, you can never discount it. Just keep going and you might get a podium. We'll see. There's always the possibility. Oh, and traffic opening the door for Sean Belder. The possibility at making a position. Belder once again 3/10 off of Schlichting. Once more, if we can just get a decent exit out of this corner and out onto Blanchimont, this could be his opportunity at taking that position into the bus stop chicane. 3/10 between them. Oh my goodness, here we go. So it all kind of hinges on Belder really. What does Belder do? If he can get past Schlichting, that could potentially mean Dol Peterson takes the championship victory. Whether Belder wants that though, I don't know. If he can close the gap to Peterson and take the race lead, that could be him taking the top spots. But then Schlichting would need to drop to P4 for that to happen. It's basically a 10-11 point difference, however that works out. But as long as Schlichting finishes in P2, he's fine. So at the moment, yeah, the pressure-wise, yeah, not looking good for Schlichting because he's being put under a load of pressure. He just needs to hold on to P2. Belder, he wants P2 as well. And of course, Dol Peterson in the meantime just laughs it off and says, "Cool, I'll just build my 2.8 second lead, potentially take the championship victory here and a race win." They are probably causing traffic, Esau. They probably are, or at least Schlichting is. Belder's just going, great, here's another opportunity. And here's another opportunity in the form of Lacombe turn 4. Look to the inside. Oh my goodness, but he's on the grass. Woo! Yas kept it on track though. Oh, but he does emerge side by side with Schlichting. He did kind of gain that position. He kind of gained an advantage going off circuit. He seems to be all over the place now. But of course, you know, drying track, that does tend to do things to you as a driver. Already 40 minutes of racing behind the wheel, 40 minutes of wet racing behind the wheel, I should say. That does a number on your psyche. And now having to deal with changing conditions, thinking about when you're going to do your pit stop, and thinking about the championship victory at stake here. All of these factors add up, all these variables, and Belder, well, he's definitely thinking about all of those, same as Schlichting. For Schlichting, though, it's just simple. Stay in P2, that's it. You know, just stay there and we'll be fine. Omar Hatem and Miro side by side for P3, the Aston Martin. Brilliant spatial awareness from all of the drivers today. Literally millimeters between Miro and Hatem as they went through Pujon. Just enough space given as Miro went back to the racing line, but it's putting some good pressure on the BMW here. I think Hatem's getting caught out by the changing conditions. He's not quite so racing on a dry track now that he's had about an hour, maybe actually 2 hours of racing on a wet track, disregarding the many hours of racing that he might have had on a wet track during practice and in the weeks leading up to this race, or the couple days leading up to this race. We don't know how many hours he's put in. But Miro putting on some sufficient pressure, 0.2 seconds between them, and we could start seeing some pit stops now. I'm thinking that it might be time for some pit stops. Half a second between them. It's opened up slightly, so maybe slightly wide from the Aston Martin. It's not time to pit yet, though. Track is still slightly wet. We can still see some spray being kicked up. Schlichting 3.7 seconds off Dahl Pedersen. So Pedersen really putting in the hard effort to open up that gap for himself, give him the best chance at taking both the race win and the championship victory. And it does seem to be looking pretty favourable. Miro looking at a favourable P3 position in the LMGT3 class side by side. Could this be too wide side by side into Eau Rouge? I've seen things go wrong here before. Miro has as well. That PTSD kicks in and he's dropped back behind the BMW. So for now, that battle has been slightly postponed. We can then continue looking at Schlichting and Belder. 0.8 seconds between them. Schlichting closing half a second to Pedersen already. Now down to 2.8 seconds, 2.7 seconds. What's happening to Pedersen in the Alpine? Is he maybe having to do some fuel saving? I don't know. We can have a look at battery percentage, 20%. That should be enough to last them the race, maybe. Maybe one pit stop right at the end. But otherwise, yeah, 1.1 seconds between Schlichting and Belder, 2.4 seconds between Schlichting and Pedersen. That gap has closed up significantly and very, very quickly. Oh, again, that it's not quite adrenaline yet because of the gaps and because of their size. But it's again, as I was saying, it's that pot of boiling water on the stove that's kind of it's bubbling. You're not quite sure what's going to happen. You're not quite sure whether it's going to boil over or when it's going to boil over. Anything could happen here. So anyways, here are the positions then. Everyone pretty much on the same position. No major gains other than Ozduru in P13, up 4 positions from where he started. 3 positions for De Kock. Hatem up 2 positions. Biggest loser today, of course, being Moulton, who had to retire. But in terms of positions lost, Valentine, who had that accident at the start, lost his rear wing. We've no clue what happened. I'm sure we'll get a race replay at some point in the future. Just not the very, very near future. 0.3 seconds once more between Miro and Hatem for the final. Oh my goodness, actually that's Hatem in the wall. It's not 0.3 seconds anymore. That gap is now over 5 seconds as Hatem has hit the wall. That looks to me like turn 14. Stavolo heading out onto the main straight. Oh my goodness. Hatem doing so well this race, a brilliant start, getting past 2 drivers up into P2, 3 drivers I should say actually, to take P2, get past those championship contenders, and now it's Lin P2, Miro P3, and Hatem being overtaken by De Kock very, very soon if he doesn't get underway again, but he's stuck in the gravel. He won't get going again. I believe this is the end of Hatem's race. Again, we need a race replay on this. We need to see what's happened. Oh, no. That's not... Ah, man. 45 minutes of racing and this happens. Changing conditions, maybe just too much for the BMW, maybe onto the grass, I imagine. But yeah, he's not moving. Could this be our second retirement of the evening? The Hunger Games maybe begin. I mean, to be fair, it hasn't been too bad. We saw Valentine into the wall, but he kept going. Yeah, that is him into the pits. Is he still... I'm not sure he's actually... I think he might have left. I think that is the end of Hatem's race. He's doing so well. It was such an incredible effort from the LMGT3 driver, and for all that to go down the drain here right at the end, it must just be heartbreaking. Ah, man. And yeah, first race of the season. Last race of the season. And for it to kind of end like that. Ah, man. He was on point for a podium finish on his debut in the LMU Championship, or in the LMU Season 2 Championship at least. And yeah, it just kind of went wrong there. Ozuru coming into the pits now. We don't see any spray coming up from the cars. The last 10 minutes, drying track, changing conditions, changing strategies. Anything can happen in the final 10 minutes of the race. But at the moment, it does seem to be Schlichting taking the championship victory here at Spa today. Daryl Peterson, he's given it all he can. 2 seconds ahead of Schlichting at the moment. Same with Belder. But at the moment, Schlichting still on point to take the championship victory. Easel saying, man, nice try though, nice try. Yes, it was a good effort from from Hatem, sorry, to get up there and keep pushing. Yeah, maybe it was pressure from Miro. Maybe got stressed out from that. Pressure from a car behind can do a lot of things to you, including put you into a wall. Or slightly wide from Peterson could also put you wide, as you got the pressure from the two Ferraris behind. Yes, it is 2 seconds, but of course that gap can close down very, very quickly. And if you're not careful, you could have yourself a three-way battle here for not only the race win, but the championship victory as well. Could be spicing up here for the final 5 minutes of the race. When do we reckon pit stops will happen? Because Ozduru's already gone in for his. Track might still be slightly moist, but I reckon, yeah, next 2 or 3 laps we could start seeing pit stops. Swap to dries, or do we just see some drivers just stick it out on wets and just keep going? They will be overheating massively in the final 5 minutes of the race, which is maybe not what you want when a car is right up behind you. But yeah, I don't know. It's all up in the air at the moment. Daryl Peterson. Oh, there we go. Schlichting into the pits. Schlichting dives into the pits. Belder stays out. Same with Daryl Peterson. So Schlichting, he's gone for an early pit stop. It's now down to Daryl Peterson and Belder, the two championship contenders, separated by 1 point, and who want to take the championship victory away from Schlichting, who's been leading all season long. This is their opportunity. It's their time to shine now. If they can get a good lap here, this could be the difference between the championship victory and a championship loss. Schlichting with that pit stop. Again, very big decision here. Is this going to cost him the victory, or has this sealed the victory for him? As we've heard, he just needs to finish P2, and that's fine. He's got a 3.6 second window between Daryl Peterson and Belder. His tyres won't be up to temperature, but they will be on dries. So that will help very, very quickly. Ah, man, and Valentine saying, what a poo show. So I don't think it's a good idea for me to swear in stream. But yeah, Valentine saying, buddy, yeah, that's tough, man. It is tough. Really sorry to see you head off into the wall at the start of the race. What happened there? What happened? How did that happen? Valentine down in P8. Yeah, into the pits. Man, yeah, really, yeah, there's just nothing you can do really when something like that happens. It just happened. I can only offer my condolences. I'm assuming it wasn't a race incident, but if it was, then we could have some last second drama, maybe some penalties for the championship leaders, for the race leaders, that could properly mess up the standings here. Could properly bring in some drama for the end of the race. Spectators curse kicked in. Yeah, Esau, confess, man, confess. It was your fault. You said it, not me. Okay, so 4 seconds between Belder and Ole Peterson. 44 seconds between Schlichting and Belder. Ole Peterson stays out. He stays out for yet another lap. 3.1 seconds. Look at Schlichting closing the gap. Belder's gone straight into the pits. Look at the gap difference between Schlichting and Belder. Of course, that will close down very, very quickly because it's a car in the pits and a car still out on circuit. So really, whether Belder comes out ahead of Schlichting or not, that will be a good indicator of whether it was a good idea to pit right at the start or whether it's a good idea to pit later. Belder's kind of in the between. Ole Peterson maybe going for the other end of the spectrum, going for the late pit stop. 17 seconds. It's gonna, yeah. I think Schlichting called it right. I think Schlichting called it. 9.2 seconds, 8 seconds. Here we go. Sean Belder gets dropped. He's on his way out. Schlichting now round the final corner, making his way down the straight. Belder still in the pits, and yes, I think Schlichting called this one right. And look at that gap. He's closing 48.2 seconds and closing rapidly on Ole Peterson. I think he's called this out just perfectly. Could this actually have been the best pit stop, not only for this race, but of the season? I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to beat what he did at Bahrain in round 2, where he took a very, very well-timed pit stop to then make a move on the final lap of the race with 4 corners to go to take the race win here. Is this going to be another strategy and pace masterclass from Schlichting? Is this just going to assert his dominance once more? A final assertion of dominance from the Ferrari driver to say, I deserve this championship and I'm going to win it. Well, 45 seconds and closing, it does seem that way. Kenneth Ole Peterson now making his way around Stavolo and out onto the main straight. He's now down to 46 seconds. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, this pit stop penalty for Asduru. I'm assuming for track limits. Yeah, it's 47 seconds. It's close. It's close between these two. What's happening to Schlichting? It's maybe not quite getting the right lines. 47. His tyres, of course, still need to catch temperature. So they could be kind of neck and neck with the wet tyres on Peterson's car. But he's closing that 44 seconds and he's into the pits. Here we go. Kenneth Ole Peterson. This is it. My brain is dead, says Easel. Mate, you can't be dying on your brains now. Also pit stop from the Alpine. He's maybe bottled it slightly. Schlichting, 34 seconds and closing. Schlichting now making his way up to Blanchimont. Woo! 7 minutes. Is this going to be a change of race lead? 22 seconds. Time is closing down between these two. Back out of the pits. Here comes Ole Peterson. 15 seconds to make it to the end of the pit lane and get up to Eau Rouge. 10 seconds. Here comes Philip Schlichting around into the bus stop chicane. Out of the final corner. You can see Rucroft moving slowly. Van Lagen also into the pits there. 7 seconds between these two, it seems. Kenneth Ole Peterson just at the end of the pit lane. 4.5 seconds. Here we go. Philip Schlichting making his way down to the first corner. His tyres are going to be up to temperature. That undercut might have worked out perfectly for him. But it could also be that he has maybe just slightly misjudged that pit stop and is now still in P2. But at the end of the day, he still managed to get out ahead of Belder. 4.8 seconds between them. I think Ole Peterson calculated that just right. He got that final pit stop just right to hold on to the race lead. And Belder, yeah, it's not. I don't know. I don't know whether there was anything he could do. 2.6 seconds off Schlichting. Schlichting might have this in the bag. Yeah, it does sound like a massive race, Valentine. It does sound like everything just kind of went wrong for you, mate. Heart goes out to you, man. Really unfortunate stuff. Easel saying also, stuff happens. There are good ones and there are good ones. Huh? Don't let it ruin your mood, mate. Yeah, I agree. It's been a tough race. You had a banger in Algarve. Today, not so much, but hey-ho. So, yes. Final drama then, 5 minutes to go in not only the race but the championship. Some pit stop action happening. It was a question of which pit stop was going to work out best. All three kind of worked out. All three still came out at exactly the right times. Noel Peterson still in the race lead, Schlichting P2 and Belder P3. Schlichting still on course to take the championship victory. Was whether he was going to take the race lead here and properly assert his dominance. That was going to be a question in and of itself. 1.5 seconds. He does seem to be closing. So he's obviously got more temperature in those tyres and a little more. He's kind of used them a little more. Still cold tyres for Schlichting on the way out. Final corner, you could see the slip from Peterson in the foreground. 1.3 seconds. Yeah, Schlichting's going to settle this the good old way of getting alongside and moving past. Valentine saying, yeah, all good, man. Can't help but beat yourself up, though. Yeah, I get it, mate. It is one of those things where it's kind of, yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man. But I guess he'll just have to come back for Season 3 and then take this challenge on again. Yeah, unfortunately the races haven't been more frequent though, because I really need the practice with fuel loads. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, as a commentator, it's nice having, different race each week. But yeah, I can understand from a practice point of view, it varies from person to person, I guess. Some people might find it better to have more time to practice. Some people find it better to just do the race itself. Kind of varies from person to person. More to come, buddy. More to come, buddy. More to come. You learn stuff from these two. Absolutely. In the meantime, we've got this old battle between Peterson and Schlichting kicking in again. The better tyres from Schlichting. That pit stop earlier might have done it, even though he didn't quite get the advantage in the pit stops. He's now right up on the rear end of that Alpine. If Peterson defends this well enough and holds up Schlichting enough for Belder to get involved again, could bring in another extra factor, another variable into the championship battle. It could be his last chance. Traffic as well, that's another variable that we need to keep in mind. Always Tim Miro just ahead, P2 in his class. Yeah, it looks like Lynn got left behind in the pit stop phase. So Miro will take P2, Lynn a final podium position, P3 for him. But here we go, 0.2 seconds heading into Blanchimont. Is this got to be Schlichting's opportunities to get past into the bus stop chicane? Yeah, Easel, yeah, imagine they crash right now though. Again, risk versus reward. That's the delicate balance to be had when you're making these moves in these races. We saw the high risk, high reward move from Peterson, or shall I say high risk, not so high reward. He got past the Land GT3 pretty quick, but not really too much. But yeah, 0.3 seconds between Schlichting and Peterson. Cool about the tyres, maybe in Schlichting's favour at the start here, but now that Peterson has maybe got a little bit of temperature into his tyres, maybe one of them's a little bit more, he's going to get back up to pace, and we'll see some familiar pace from 2 minutes to go. What is the fastest lap here? 2:13. So this is the final lap of the race, ladies and gents. Final lap of the season as well. We've got our 3 championship contenders all in one shot. Half a second between Noel Peterson and Schlichting here for P1, then P2. 1 second difference between Schlichting and Belder. It could be all up in the air right now. I say it is all up in the air right now. We could see anything happen. Half a second between Schlichting and Belder on the braking zone into turn 4. Could we see some brilliant fuel saving from Belder in the start of this race, and now he's using it all? Here we go, Schlichting on the inside of Peterson, contact between them. Here we go, side-by-side racing through the left-hander of turn 8. Belder putting some pressure on Schlichting around the outside of turn 8. Still there's warranted racing space. Schlichting just about manages it. Round the outside, here we go, Belder into Pujon. Yes, he's made that move stick, and this is Schlichting down to B3, but the number 83 loses traction through the left-handers. He's now still alongside Schlichting, and in the meantime, Peterson builds up a 1 second gap. Oh my goodness, Schlichting just about managed to hold on to P2. For a second there, it seemed as though his championship... Sorry, my brain's fried at the moment. His championship hopes of taking the championship victory almost at high risk there. He could have lost it, bit wide through turn 14, Belder, if he gets a proper run here, 2/10 between them, 3/10 between the Ferrari and the Alpine here for the race lead. Into the bus stop for the final time, final corner of the season. This is going down to the wire. Move from the Ferrari down the inside, 3 wide with the traffic on the outside. Schlichting's overcooked it though. He's gone wide. Here comes the Alpine and the Ferrari as well. But it seems as though Schlichting will hold on to that position as he comes across the line. It's going to be another lap of racing. I think this is it? Is it the last lap? No, it's one more lap. Is it one more lap? Yes, it does seem to be so. Belder up the inside. It's not the last lap yet. Here we go. This is the final lap. Down to the wire. And Schlichting has taken the race lead here. Belder and Del Peterson. The best they could do was P1 and P3 throughout this race. They've managed to keep it super consistent all the way, but Schlichting, where it counts on the penultimate lap of the race, makes that move and keeps a hold of it. And now, even if he does lose this position to Belder, he can still take the championship victory. Belder moves past into the race lead. Could this actually be Belder's first race win of the season? He's had 3 podiums in a row so far. 3 consecutive podiums. The only driver with a hat-trick of podiums. He's now lost traction as well. Schlichting round the outside once again into turn 7. Contact between them. Does this allow the Alpine to close the ground though? I don't know. This is going to be incredibly tight as they make their way through turn 8. Del Peterson does seem to have fallen off though. His pace is severely lacking and he's not really on the rear end of Schlichting as much as he could be. 1/10 between Belder and Schlichting heading into Pujon. Woo! This is tight. This is very, very tight. 2/10 between them. Final lap chaos, final lap awesomeness going on at Spa-Francorchamps as they make their way through Le Fun for the real final time now. Into turn 13 they go. Stavolo lies ahead. It's not over yet, folks. It's not over for Peterson. It's not over for Belder yet. Anything can happen here. Out of turn 14. Better run for the 51. Number 83 tries to chop across. He's still on the defensive line. Back ahead again. Slipstreaming from Schlichting. He wants that final race win. He wants that final taste of victory, that final better taste of champagne, but he had to go on round the outside of the GT3. And in the meantime then, Sean Belder holds on to the race lead. Into the final corner, into the bus stop chicane we go. And Sean Belder emerges ahead out of the final corner. And for the first time this season, Sean Belder wins the race in Le Mans Ultimate HSR Motorsport Season 2 Mixed Class Championship. And Philipp Schlichting gets a podium and the championship victory. Schlichting is your Season 2 Le Mans Ultimate Champion here at HSR Motorsport. Del Peterson takes home another podium finish as well. But at the end of the day, it was Schlichting's consistency all season long and his final lap effort, his final 2-lap effort, I should say, that has granted him the championship victory here at Spa today. Incredible stuff from Schlichting to take the championship win and yet another podium here on the final round of the championship on the hypercar class. Incredible stuff from all 3 of them. And Dudek has just come across the line to seal the deal as well. Race win for him once more. And he takes the championship win as well. 2nd race win of the season. 5th podium of the season. Dudek wins the GT3 Season 2 Championship here in the Le Mans Ultimate Mixed Class Championship at HSR Motorsport. Incredible racing on the final 2 laps for the race win for the hypercars. And yeah, just incredible effort there. Wow. Down to the wire. Things went up into the air very, very quickly on those final 2 laps. And you can see the celebrations from Tim Miro. Wei Long Lin not quite celebrating. But I see, yeah, Hatem Leto also retiring from the session much, much earlier. De Kock and Van Lagen still going P9 and P10 overall, but P4 and P5. This battle between these two went on for ages. Osduro and De Kock, and it's obviously opened up much, much larger. Van Lagen still in P10, P4 for him, and yeah, he's kept going. Good stuff. And I agree with all of you in the chat. Valentine saying the racing on LMU has been so much more entertaining than ACC. Esau saying what a finale. GG Builder, great race from Valentine. Exciting end. GG to class champions Schlichting and Dudek, says Senin Ra. Absolutely incredible effort from both of you guys to finish today. Incredible effort from everyone, really, to keep it on the road today. Changing conditions in the final 10 minutes definitely spiced things up. Allowed Belder his first championship win of the season. And, of course, Schlichting, throughout it all, has just managed to maintain his consistent P2 pace. And here we go, Van Lagen across the line. P4 for you, buddy. Not bad in the slightest. So then, wow, what a final race. Wet conditions, always up in the air, not quite sure what's going to happen, but at the end of the day, it was Sean Belder who took the race win. He finally made it. He finally did it. Absolutely massive kudos to you, sir, for finally managing to take your first race win of the season. You've had 3 podiums so far, 3 P2 finishes, good stuff to finally take that race win. And Philipp Schlichting, utterly astounding effort this season to take not only 2 race wins, but also in the process then 4 podium finishes as well to take the championship victory. Incredible effort. Kenneth Dahl Peterson also fighting all the way to the end. He was out at the front all race today, but at the end of the race where it all mattered, that was where Schlichting just put in the extra effort and took P2. And unfortunately, yeah, Peterson, it's still a podium finish. Unfortunately, not a championship victory. But you can contest that next season, Season 3, which will be coming, I'm sure it'll be announced sometime soon. P4, of course, goes to Lo Nilsson, Ramaucho, MG in P5. Tony Recroft, P6. And then, of course, Nico Dudek, the GT3 season championship winner. Also, incredible effort. 2 race wins and 5 podium finishes. Again, just utterly dominant performance from Dudek. We might have to bump you up to either the Allen P2s or the Hypercars, depending on what we do next season. So I'm not sure we'll see you around for the Allen GT3s next season, unless we get some other guys to challenge you. Wei Long Lin putting up a decent defense, but at the end of the day, not quite managing to hold on to it. Also, my heart goes out to a Tem as well, who's making some good progress in P2, but unfortunately just couldn't quite hold onto that position and ended up in the wall after Tim Miro came by. But yeah, Tim Miro, good stuff for as well. P2 for you, mate. Harold the Cock, P3. William van Hagen, P4. So, oh yeah, of course, because of Hatem. So Harold the Cock, actually, podium for him. William van Hagen, P4. And then the next field is right here. There we go. Emro Azduru in P11 overall. Francesco Rancesco, Bois Bavesh, and Wei Long Lin rounding out your finishing grid. Moro Aleto, P15. Reese Valentine, of course, our only hypercar. Retirement of the evening. Omar Hatem and Stephen Felton, your P17 and P18 non-finishers for the evening. Wow. So, a championship comes to an end. It has been absolutely brilliant. The racing has been non-stop. The action has been absolutely incredible all season long. I'm going to be rewatching this entire season. I might just kind of bookmark this whole season and take a look back at it in days, weeks and years to come as some of the best racing I've ever commentated on, but some of the best racing I've ever seen, and hopefully some racing indicative of what we could see in the future. Hopefully we can see some absolutely amazing action in the future as well. Now, I do believe this is also a appropriate time to say that I'll be taking a break from commentary for a little bit. I think it'll be about a season long. Whether I come back after it or not, it's kind of still up in the air. But yeah, I won't be commentating Season 3 of the LMU Championship unless things go wrong. But, you know, it's a nice backup plan, I guess. But yeah, plan is to take a break from the commentary for a season or two here at HSR Motorsport, and maybe get going again if I've still got some free time. But yeah, in the meantime, I'll actually be out on track, hopefully. So I'll see you guys out there on circuits as opposed to just in the commentary box, which, you know, it has its pros and cons. But yeah, I'll still be around next week though for the penultimate round of the ACC Championship. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, the ACC Season 7 Championship finale. Potentially the final ACC Championship ever at HSR Motorsports. So things going on there. And, of course, then potentially final commentary gig with you guys. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Tune in a week. And then 2 weeks for the championship finale. And then after that, you'll hopefully see me on the grid. The plan is Friday evenings. That's going to be for HSR Motorsport. But yes, that concludes our evening here. That concludes the LMU Season 2 Championship here at Spa. The final race of the season. Absolutely incredible stuff from our top three. Great racing all the way through. Kept us on the edge of our seats very well. And of course, just, some great strategy from all three of them. I'll definitely be watching this back in days to come. I still need to watch back round 5 though. I'll do that first. I might do that tomorrow. Or tonight. I don't know. Anyways, Esau saying, thanks for the stream, mate. Amazing stuff. We'll be missing you as a commentator. I'll still be active. I'll still be doing my commentator stuff, but for other communities. And then, it's just a break, hopefully. Hopefully it's just a break. But I'll say my proper goodbyes just in case in a couple of weeks. I think it's 3 weeks when the ACC finale happens. So we can get all emotional there. And then, see what happens. But hopefully just a season break. And then I'll see y'all on track, actually. Senin Ra, thanks for the streaming and great commentary all along too. Bye-bye. Yes, Ashley, see you later, dude. Valentine, I'll way to shatter my heart. Yeah, I'll see you on grid, though. I'll get to see you on track in the flesh. In the virtual flesh, I guess you could say. You better be on the grid. Yeah, I will be. I will be. If I'm not there, then you have every right to slander me as a person and a commentator and a racing driver. So I've pretty much put my reputation on the line there, haven't I? Anyways, that's enough. That's enough talking. I think it's time to go. Thank you all so much for joining us here for the final race of the LMU Season 2 Mixed Class Championship here at HSR Motorsport. It's been brilliant. It's been HSR Motorsport. It's been Yanis. It's been Spa. It's been Schlichting. It's been Dudek. And it's a night. We'll see you all later. Have a good evening.